This really went under the radar for me. Just a few days ago, there was a new large language model that just launched and it's called AutoCoder. This is where it's enhancing code for large language models with the AIEV-instruct. This is a term that we'll explain shortly, but this is the first large language model to surpass GPT-4 Turbo, which is the April 2024 version, as well as the new GPT-4 Omni and pass that one on the HumanEval benchmark test, which is absolutely insane. This is an open source model and it's based off of DeepSeek Coder. AutoCoder is going to offer a more versatile code interpreter compared to GPT-4 Turbo as well as GPT-4 Omni. It's a code interpreter that you can install with external packages instead of limiting it to built-in packages. AutoCoder's training data is actually a multi-turn dialog dataset and it has been created by a system of combining agent interactions as well as external code execution verification. This is a method that we talked about previously, which is instruction tuning with agent interaction and execution verified. This is something that we're going to briefly go over throughout today's video. But before we get to that, I want you to take a look at this demo video. Now, in this demo, I want you guys to take a look at the difference between the code interpreters of AutoCoder as well as GPT-4 Turbo. In this first video, which is the GPT-4 Omni Turbo Code Interpreter, there are a couple limitations, and this is where GPT-4 Turbo, in the video you will see that it cannot actually access external libraries and it's restricting its functionality to built-in packages only. And you can see this within this demo over here. It's not going to be able to reference these external libraries, whereas AutoCoder on the other hand will automatically install the required packages, and this is a feature that's going to expand the scope of the code interpreter's application. This is something that's going to significantly expand the functionalities of your code interpreter, and it's going to allow you to handle a broader range of tasks. Now, this is just quite amazing to see in my opinion, and it's something that has been restricted with the GPT-4 models, and this is why the AutoCoder has been able to outperform many of the other models that are out there. Another thing to note is that with AutoCoder and GPT-4 Turbo, the code interpreter of AutoCoder is like GPT-4 Turbo, but it is invoked only when the user needs to verify the code. So this basically means that the interpreter is used selectively. So it depends on whatever your user requirement is. There's also the OpenCodeInterpreter, which in contrast is going to run all the generated Python code by default. And this is without waiting for any user input or verify any code. And this is something that AutoCode is providing. Now, throughout today's video, we're going to be exploring this large language model further in detail, showcasing the benchmarks and so much more. So with that thought, guys, let's get straight into it. Sorry for being repetitive, but this month we had insane partnerships with big companies giving out subscriptions to AI tools completely for free. These are tools that will streamline your business's growth and improve your efficiency. Just being a patron this past month, you were given access to 6 paid subscriptions completely for free. Not only do you access these subscriptions, but you gain the ability for consulting, networking, collaborating with the community, as well as with myself. You get access to daily AI news, resources, giveaways, and so much more. If you're interested, check out the Patreon link in the description below to gain access to these benefits. Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another YouTube video at the World of AI. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a new coding large language model. This is something that is surpassing GPT-4 Turbo as of their April 2024 version, as well as GPT-4 Omni on HumanEval, in the pass at one on HumanEval benchmark. Now, say if you're interested in downloading this, you can download 2 model cards. You have the AutoCoder 33 billion model card, as well as a 6.7 billion model card. And there's also a GGUF version for it, so you can get started with this quite easily. So what I want you guys to do is have LM Studio installed. If you don't, I have a video which goes over installing LM Studio. This is a great way for you to install any large language model locally on your desktop. So what you want to do is go over to LM Studio. Once you are over here, you can just simply copy the model card. Say we're installing the 6.7 billion parameter model. You can copy the model card by just simply clicking on this clipboard button. Go back to LM Studio, paste it into the search tab, and click enter. Now, say if you cannot see this model, you can just click on compatibility guess and you will be able to install it by clicking on this, and then you can load it up in your conversation tab by selecting a model that you want to load. You can start chatting with it within your local computer. So what is AIEV-instruct? Well, this is an architecture that's divided into two stages. You have the teaching stage as well as the self-learning stage. Now, in the teaching stage, the model learns primarily by distilling knowledge from a teacher model. And this is where it's going to utilize something like DeepSeek Coder, for example. While the self-learning stage is going to automatically learn different types of things autonomously. Now, in the teaching stage, you have the ability to obtain open source code snippets and use GPT-4 Turbo as a teacher model. You can even use DeepSeek Coder, and this is to supplement and correct different sorts of code as well as generations. And this process consists of four main steps. You have initialization, where you assign roles, initialize dialog messages, initialize the code interpreter. You also have problems to the questions, where you're going to be able to describe and give solutions to them. You can have it so that the dialog messages are appended with the problem description. Then you have the execution feedback, where there's going to be error handling, natural language description, as well as code modification. And lastly, you have termination, where it's going to successfully execute the code. And if the program is basically executable, it's going to be a success. And this will basically append the dialog messages, which will complete the analysis of one data entry. And from here, it goes into the data evaluation, which is going to go to the transition to the self-learning stage. And this is where it's going to compare, have this self-learning stage where the student model will replace the original model, and the student model is going to assign as both the questioner as well as the programmer. And it's going to complete the entire execution feedback that was seen before, and it's going to process all of this autonomously. And this stage is going to allow the model to continue learning and improve based off the performance without relying on the teacher model. And this is the architecture of AutoCoder. This is something that's quite intricate, and I didn't really know something like this would exist. So they actually did a great job in comparing the datasets, and this is where they compare the datasets of AutoCoder with other large language models focused on coding. So let's start off with AutoCoder. This is a model that contains 169K data samples. You have 241 rounds of dialogue, includes main function, package installs, code execution errors, as well as fixes. They also added, I believe, a unit test, and this is for better accuracy. Now, if you are to compare it to something like MagicCoder OSS-instruct, this is something that only contains 75K data samples, and it only has 75K rounds of dialogue. Now, let's say if you take a look at the MagicCoder AIEV-instruct, this is something that only has 1,111 data samples. You have 111 rounds of dialogue, and it goes to show that for AutoCoder, it includes even unit tests, which makes the code even more accurate, and it also is including more rounds of feedback, which is going to improve the quality of the context of the code. So I definitely recommend that you read through this because it's quite interesting. Now, just take a look at the comparison with the other state-of-the-art models. You have Llama 3 400B, as well as GPT-4 Omni, Ultra for Gemini, and we can see that AutoCoder is even putting up a fight against these large institutional large language models, which is just insane to me. This is the best coding model that is open source, and it's something that you need to get started with right now. Now, that's a big claim from my end, but I definitely see that this is something with its features is going to be really, really useful. Now, there's so many more things that you should definitely take a look at. So I definitely recommend that you read through this, and I'll leave a link to the research paper, the model card, as well as the GitHub repo so that you can get started with it. But with that thought, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you follow me on the Patreon because this is a great way for you to access different subscriptions completely for free. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Great way for you to stay up to date with the latest AI news. Famous YouTuber. Sorry about that. And lastly, make sure you guys subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like this video, and check out our previous videos so you can stay up to date with the latest AI news. But with that thought, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Spread positivity, and I'll see you guys fairly shortly. Peace out, fellas.